Today I'm talking to Joel, who's in France. So hello, Joel.
Hello, hi.
So where are you in France and what do you do?
We're based in southwest France, a little village called, where the school, well, I run a school in southwest France in Montbayou, which is near to Bergerac.
And can you tell me a little bit more about what your school does?
Okay, so we run a school here which provides GCSEs and A-levels for British expats who wish to continue their education in English or returns to the UK for university. Many of our students do return to the UK for university after they've completed A-levels. But we're also integrated very much within the French community. We provide English studies for French students and French for English, both directions. We're involved in primary education and lots of community education projects across the region. So it's been a successful project. It's not a project, it's a centre, it's a school. It's run now for 10 years. And we're very much involved in our local communities and our local councils, communes and local mayors.
Okay, thanks. Just going back to British families living in your area. Now, where I am in Italy, a British family would be something quite rare. But again, this is an example of how diverse we are. So can you tell me something about British families moving to your area, how they help the local communities there by making a contribution?
Okay, well, this area has a wide and diverse range of British people. It's not unusual to have 2 or 3 generations of British people in the same family that live here. The Dordogne particularly, we're on the frontier of the Dordogne, has always been attractive to British nationals. There are towns like Aimé, which you hear in the press are predominantly British. That's not quite true, but there is lots of British people that are there. I've known this region personally since 1995, just after freedom of movement, and this area was very rundown, rural, beautiful. The British community have contributed vastly, amazingly actually, to the region, regenerated the region. I know that the school that I represent and am a part of here in southwest France has generated millions, literally.
Now, thinking about your business, can you tell me what kind of impact Brexit has had on your business?
Clarissa, we're not a business, we're an association.
Sorry.
So we are supported by a variety of organisations, not to mention our local town councils and local mayors. Brexit, well, it's changing the way in which we deliver our work. I mean, traditionally, people would be contacting the school. Part of my master's research, which I did in 2013, was around transitions and enabling students, young people, to move from one education system to another. And we'd have many British nationals wanting to come to southwest France to resettle, to live here, to commute. Many were commuting from Bergerac Airport on a regular basis. And that level of work that we were doing has started to change. There's no doubt about it. We see less British people coming here. Now, for a region, that's disappointing and sad. For a region that so benefited from freedom of movement, so benefited from the change, the cultural change that freedom of movement allowed, the integration that freedom of movement allowed. Now, that kind of work we aren't as involved with. We still have students wishing to come here, but people are rushing here. They're rushing before the end of December. Our work now is moving more and more towards working with French people to develop English skills, very much working towards French business skills. We've kept, and I think it's important to state that we are very much community orientated because I see a time when perhaps British education won't have the currency that it once had. And that, as a British educator, is a sad thing to say.
It's very sad, But at the moment now, what does this mean for you in terms of sourcing teachers and in the future?
Well, most of our teachers all of our teachers have to be British qualified. That's the starting point. Most of my teachers have taken early retirement. Not all. Some have exercised their freedom of movement and have come to this region to live. In the future, who knows? I mean, we will have a lack of the talent that we did have as a result of Brexit. Now, that lack of talent won't just be because of a lack of teachers, but it'd be a lack of people that are moving here to contribute as positive as they have done over the last 25 or so years. And that's what we're beginning to see. There'll be a shift and a change between the cultural currency and values of Britishness within France. And I think that's a level of being a victim, really, and that's very, very sad.
I know that you are particularly worried about young people who fall into the category of what we call NEETs. So young people who are not employed, they're not in education or training. Can you tell me something about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be more specific than that. I think yes, young people not in education, employment and training are particularly vulnerable. The withdrawal agreement has got holes in it. And some of those holes actually, they do highlight the concerns that I would have towards those that don't neatly fit into systems. So let's explain. If you're in the foster care system and you've come to France and you're with foster parents and you find yourself at 18 that you've decided for whatever reason that you're going to leave the family home or the foster home, then what happens is you could find yourself not in any kind of formal system. So you wouldn't be in employment, you wouldn't be in education, and you wouldn't be in training. I'm specifically thinking of some cases which I'm being cautious about.
Yeah, sure. But
I do know some people that are homeschooled within the foster care situation. Then the relationship may or may not have broken down for whatever reason, and then the young person becomes vulnerable because they no longer really have a home. They're here, but they stay with friends. They're transient within communities. They're not registered. It becomes complex, but they were brought here not because they chose to, and then they form relationships here, so they can't necessarily.
In fact, I think it touches on.
So they're in limbo.
Yeah, I mean, people like us who we made that decision to make the move, but a lot of us brought children with us who had no say in the matter. But as you say now, they may be in a situation where they're just going to slip through the cracks.
It's scary because to register in France, for instance, you have to exercise your freedom of movement, rights, etc., etc. But with that, you have to show that you have minimum income. You have to prove that you're sustainable. Now, for young people who are just leaving education, and they may have chosen not to go to university, but they haven't got a sustainable job yet, that makes them very vulnerable. Yeah. And if on top of it, they haven't got a secure family, then they really are at risk.
And in fact, I think the coronavirus crisis has made things even worse for them, because I think young people have been identified as the group who will be the worst hit in terms of not being able to find work.
Another problem is for tertiary education. British nationals, for example, up until 2027, can go back to the UK to undertake university education.
Under home fees.
Under home fees, that's exactly correct. After 2027, they'll be seen as global international students. So they won't be home students. So therefore, you could be educated in France, be British, and not be able to go to a British university as a home fee student, yes? But I'm more concerned that it also doesn't say that if you're a British student educated in France, you could then go to Belgium to do your studies. It, to me, suggests that your education would be in the country to which you reside. So if you're in France, you would go to a French university.
I think one of the problems is that a lot of these things will be decided country by country what they want to do, and also I think one of the problems that we have is that third country nationals with long-term residence, they can apply for a long-term permit, which gives them benefits such as home fees in another EU country that at the moment we're not going to get. So I mean, there are very big implications for families, aren't there? Can I just get, sorry.
No, we're not third country nationals, we're ex-EU citizens. And we won't be third country nationals so we reside here for 5 years. Therefore, that's a loophole. I mean, I have very, very, very strong opinions about the fact that we've become third country nationals, because I feel that the European Union, and Britain was a part of that at the time, should not have put together Article 50, which was an exit article, without having exit strategies.
Yeah.
That's appalling, because that means any European national can be left high and dry if their country leave the European Union.
I can tell you, in April 2018, I asked the ambassador here in Italy what impact studies they carried out on vulnerable people, and the answer was none. And I think we can probably safely assume that there were no impact studies carried out with regard to people like us at all. And can I just get back to, I wanted to ask you something. Sorry.
It does need to be addressed. It should be addressed.
Yeah.
It's been too long. It's not been addressed.
Now, I understand your wife did have a position as a local councillor, but she lost that position at the end of January this year.
Yes, my wife Judy was an active member, one of the most active members on the local council here. Very, very important position. She had a very important position, particularly with the school, because she was a direct link then with the prefecture, with local politicians, and with policymakers. She had a very healthy representative in terms of those that elected her, yet on the, whatever day it was, 31st of January, she had to really stand down as an elected member in the Republic of France. I think that is the biggest loss, actually, that we British people have in our communities. We are no longer represented, and that's a tragedy. Here, you asked earlier on how many British people are here. There's thousands of British people in South France. They are no longer represented, and I knew many people who were British representatives on local elected councils. Yet, in Spain, you can be. In France, there's a different legislation. There's different countries have different legislation. So one of the biggest losses we have is that we're no longer represented. Yet we are still. I am now having to lobby really people that I know who are councillors and conseils,
because obviously
what we do here in our community school.
You are part of the community, and as you said, you're working in association with other bodies in the community, yet you have no representation now. So I imagine, like me now, you have no vote anywhere. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it? It's absolutely disgusting. Words fail me, actually. I moved to France as a European citizen. I never thought particularly I was British. I contributed to my community. I encouraged people to contribute towards the community. I encouraged Europeanism. I encouraged Europeanism with all my teaching practice, and everything that I believe in has been stripped and taken away from me for what I see with no positive benefits. And I've lost my vote here, and I've lost, say, in my commune.
Actually, it really seems to go against the essence of the whole European project. And I think you feel very strongly that this has a message and not a good one for all other EU citizens.
Absolutely. If the European Union can't protect its ex-citizens, then no citizen should exercise their freedom of movement. It is a dangerous thing to do. You can lose your voting rights. You become disenfranchised. You can, from one minute, be a member of a local council, to the next minute having your fingerprints taken by our prefecture as if you're a criminal. This is disgusting. And the European Union...
And it's so anti-democratic.
It's anti-democratic, and the European Union needs to protect its ex-citizens. If they can't, there's no currency in it. You know, it's like putting your money into a bank and it's not underwritten. You know, there's no way to secure your loans or secure what you've done. And I'm still passionately European, but I feel very let down by both the British government and the European Commission. We British people that moved as European citizens into Europe contributed, and now we're told, well, sorry, you can't anymore. That's not my decision, and many of us couldn't even vote.
No, I think we fully bought into the European project, and now it feels like we're being punished for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how it feels. It feels... I've never felt quite like... As an educationist and teacher, I always say to students, you can find a solution. There's a logical solution to be able to achieve what you need to achieve. Aspire, thrive, learn, move towards your goals. Inspiration, if you like. With it, it's a feeling of flatness because we inspired. We moved towards the goal. We enabled. We created. We did everything that the European Union was wanting us to do.
Yeah.
Now we're told, actually, you're no longer an EU citizen and you have no rights. In fact, you have to have your fingerprints taken at the prefecture as if you were a risk to the society to which you invested in. Come on.